a very special guest, Miss Kayla Vickers. Man, put your hands together, man. You show us some love, man. I tell you, man, it's just great to have her on the show this evening because she has a very very special topic, man, that I want everybody to yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate that. You have a very very interesting topic right here, man. The topic is the black family structure and relationship. Hey, Kayla, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know this was something that you and I've been talking about for a while. And you want to come on the show and you want to just voice your opinion and your heart toward this, and hopefully, we can help some people with the understanding of why it's so important with the black family structure and relationships. So just tell me something. Why did you feel like this topic was so important for us to have tonight?
Well, I believe it's important for us to talk about the topics that are really affecting our Black families in our nation, and to kind of help people to change their mindset and to also have better conversations. Because once you're able to identify what the problem is, then you'll be able to fix it.
Absolutely, that is so true. I want to ask you a quick question: Is what do you think is the biggest issue in most Black family structures today?
Well, I definitely think the biggest issue in the Black community is the fathers being absent.
Wow.
There used to be a time in our community, in the Black community, where women would be shamed for being single mothers, but now it's celebrated, it's rewarded with baby showers. And I'm not saying that we need to shame single mothers at all, but we need to have better conversations about the consequences of what typically happens when the father is not in the home with the child.
Right.
We're living in a time where it is celebrated when women trick these men into getting pregnant, and they extort the father with child support. And they also try to gain money from, the government with welfare for Section 8, and they're abusing the things that are designed design is supposed to be to help, not for you to use it in the wrong way, misuse it. And, it also causes some men to walk away from their children because they just do not want to deal with the ins and outs of having to go to court, children and family court, to constantly have to, show your finances to a judge, have money be taken from you that really shouldn't be taken from you when you are already taking care of your child and doing things to help. So it's a lot of issues that a lot of people shy away from and don't want to talk about. But I think it's important for us to talk about it because it has, it's not the beginning, but it's starting to become a bigger issue. And I think if we talk about it more, the younger men and women will be more aware of it, and be able to protect themselves and to know what they're getting into instead of it happening to them. And now all of a sudden they're in a situation they knew nothing about. Raising awareness is what we should be doing for the ones who do know, and who are aware of these things. We should be raising awareness so that we can help our community, we can help the next generation.
Wow. As you were speaking, I began to reflect back on my structure of my experience as I would call myself as a victim of not having a mother and father. I had grandma, and grandma raised me up to the best of her ability with a third grade education. Uh, and I remember when that was normal to me. And so when I started first grade, I broke my heart when grandma said, "I gotta release you. You got to go to your mom and stay with her and her boyfriend." And then that was a new life. That was a new structure. So the balance was really off. So I wasn't really getting that father balance And then I started trying to relate to my mom's balance that was different from grandma, because grandma was spiritual and then she was worldly. And so I'm trying to figure this thing out, you know. So I I really what blew my mind at the age of 13. I remember when I moved in the area and there was a friend of mine, the Walkers. And when I went to their house and I saw that was their mom and that was their dad, man, I started asking questions. Man, come on now, is that your real dad? And that was his real dad. And I really gravitated to that, and I started studying that. And I started studying their family structure in their home, and I was like, this was before the Bill Cosby show. So I said, you know what, I like this. You know, I started. They brought me in as a son. You know, so I was really learning something that I wanna have me a family like this, you know. So that was just when you was talking, I was just reflecting on, my experience, so I gave my experience. So what is your structure on of what you saw as you was coming up?
Before I answer that, I want to say, it just shows the power in having the right family structure, because even though you didn't have a father that was present in your life, somebody else who did have that family structure was able to give you what you didn't have. And, that's just how powerful it is. But a lot of times, like you said, you only had one friend. Some people don't even have that one friend to have that male figure in their life. So kudos to the fathers that are in the child's life and, being present, because it's one thing to just be there in the house. And then there's another thing to be present. To actively be involved in the child's life is two different things, because I've also seen some fathers that were in the house, but they didn't say much. They let the woman completely run the house. They didn't really do much with the kids. Didn't spend time with them, didn't teach them much, and then they grow up to kind of, feel some type of way about that, because the father he wasn't active in the child's life. So that makes a huge difference. The question you asked me, how was my family structure, with you and mom in the house? I was able to have a balance, and I needed that balance, because I knew as a kid, if I did not have that balance, I already knew I would get into more things, because just not having two parents, I just knew I would be able to get away with a lot of things, because you were that parent that was always on me, like white on rice. Where are you going, what you doing, who you talking to. So my friends even knew, like, don't ask Kayla, she probably can't go. I couldn't go to the little teen club spots that they were going to. I couldn't do those things because you were on me. Versus if it was probably just my mom, I probably would have found a way to, get away with some things. But I just was not able to do that, for the simple fact that you were in the house. So nothing got past you. And there was just things that, mom taught me that you wouldn't be able to teach me. You can't teach me how to be a woman. You can't set those examples that, that she set for me. I watched and I learned a lot from observing her and observing you. There's things that you taught me she could not teach me. You taught me things about guys, what to look for in a guy, red flags, things so that I knew what was going on and what they were up to. And, it's just, a child really needs that balance. So a lot of times, mothers say, oh, I'm your father and your mother. You can't do that. You can only be that mother for that child, but there's nothing that can replace what a father can bring to a child's life, and how a father can build up that child, how that father can build up that child, because you boosted my self-esteem at a very young age. You used to tell me I couldn't lose, I couldn't come in last place because my last name was Vickers, and I believe that. So I always strive to be number one and to do my best because you instill those things in me at a very young age. And it's just something different when a father speaks, things into your life. It's just different. And so kids definitely need that balance.
Right. I was looking at Annie Oakley said that, do you feel a single parent home can do both roles?
Absolutely not. I mean, like I said, this is my opinion because I grew up with both parents, and I
Right.
knew if there was anything that happened, if you would have left, I already knew I would be able to get away with a lot more because my
Right.
mom wasn't that disciplined one. So um, I don't know. I think that and studies actually show kids that have when the father is not present in the home, studies show they have an increased risk for having behavior issues and incarceration. I mean, the list goes on. So it's really not my opinion. It's actually facts. It's statistics and studies that show um, the child is at a higher risk of failure in some cases when the father is not present.
Yeah, that is so true. Well, let me ask you something. Where do you think that most black family structures had failed?
Well, the black family structure fell when women married the government in the 60s.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was having this discussion with my grandma because she lived through a time where she remembers the Welfare Act. She remembers in 1964 when these things happened, and the government would literally come knocking on your door in the black community saying, hey, we will give you government assistance, we'll give you food stamps as long as there's no black man in this house, as long as there's no man in this house, right? So basically they wanted to, they would search the house. This is what my grandma told me. They would search the house, they would search the closet. And if you didn't pay attention, they would ask your kids, hey, where your dad at? They would ask the neighbors, they would do whatever they had to do to try to get information so that they didn't have to give you that money. So this was the start of kind of giving black women that false sense of power. And I
Wow.
think this is where they started to disrespect the black man. This is where they started to um, feel like, well, I don't need you because I can take care of, myself. I can take care of my kids with this assistance that I'm getting. So I don't have to deal with your crap anymore. If that man didn't behave in the way that she wanted him to behave, she could act out now versus before the 60s she wouldn't do that because she knew she needed that man for finances, for protection. She needed that man. So when the government stepped in and started giving them that false hope, that false sense that you don't need a man, they took it to another level. They also took it to another level in 1975 when child support became a thing. So when child support came around, that also increased women's false sense of believing that they didn't need a man, because this man was now working several jobs to try to pay this child support because he didn't want to go to jail. And there was so many different things that was trying to, keep that black man out of the home. And, they were successful at it because a lot of men are in that situation even today. It's called the father crisis. It's not just black men, but just men of all colors are dealing with this crisis of not being able to be in their home or be a part of their child's life because of the system.
Wow. Man, well, you did your homework on this one. I didn't know this, but I do remember the government system in our. I remember my stimulus check was. I was in line with grandma, and our stimulus check was the cheese, the meat in the can, the powdered eggs, and the powdered milk. Man, I that was our stimulus, and like you said, that that's the government stepped in, and they stepped into the role of what the black man should be in his family. Okay, and it was terrible, terrible. But I do know that the system back then it destroyed us, and it took us from our power, and it took us from our authority, and even the men that were trying, it was so hard to just stay in the demands and just stay above it or top of it. It was just kind of hard.
Mhm.
So what they did was, if you didn't follow the system of the program, they took their driver's license. And then when they take their driver's license, these guys got to go to work. And if they get pulled over, they get arrested. Now they lost their job. Now they're getting behind on their child support. So now when you in prison, and when you in jail, and when you get out, you still got to pay back child support. So you
Mhm.
can't do it. So what the system did, it came a modern slavery to the black man. So now they lock you up, and they put you on somebody's plantation, somebody's farm, and they got free labor out of you
Mhm.
because you did not stay in the protocols. You did not stay compliant of the government system. And
Right.
see this.
Mm,
Go ahead.
some men have to also be careful because different states have different laws. And if they, were a part of this child's life for a few years, and let's say the kid is 15 now, and then all of a sudden you're no longer with the mother and she decides to put you on child support, now she can get back child support for those 15 years, even though you were in the house and you were helping to contribute to paying for this child and taking care of this child. You will have to pay again if she decides to put you on child support. And it's just those type of laws, and just seeing and hearing men who have gone through situations like this, it's just completely not fair. It's the injustice. And I think that we need to have these conversations. We need to make people aware of this so that they know they can make better decisions when choosing a person to be in a relationship with, especially having a child with, because these are things that most people don't know about until it happens to them if they're not out seeking the information. And women have to be careful too, because the government is actually not trying. Women for a long time thought the government was trying to help them with child support, but now they are starting to see, like Holly Berry, who has to pay $16,000 a month for her 9-year-old daughter to her ex-husband who doesn't have to work. Now women are starting to see how they are starting to attack them. They're starting to extort them. Everybody knows it doesn't take $16,000 a month to take care of a 9-year-old, but because the government is getting some of that money, they're not going to stop that. So
Right.
it's starting to affect women, and pretty soon they're going to start putting both parents on child support,
Right.
because they can.
Right.
So
Right. I have two questions from a caller. And the first question is that they want to know, can a single mom parent in the home can be successful? Can she be successful as a single mom in raising her kids? Tell me why. How could that be possible?
absolutely, I know single mothers who have raised successful children,
Hmm.
um, and those women are extraordinary women because very they were they were very intentional about raising their child. And
Hmm.
sometimes if they weren't intentional about raising their child, just it's just the child's personality that, just got them through to being successful. But I definitely think a single mother could raise a successful child.
Wow. Okay. And the next question is, someone they were asking you is, what is the core of
The infrastructure.
yeah, in the black family household?
What is the core of the infrastructure in the Black family household is the fathers being present, the fathers being um, just being involved in the child's life, um, because the father's presence and being involved is more than just him just being in the house. Like I said, he's there to protect. We went through in 2020, we went through a crazy time.
Mm-hmm.
If there was not a male in the home,
Mm-hmm.
if I didn't have men to protect me, and somebody wanted to come in and take things, or they would be able to do that because I am a woman, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we need men not only just to be in the house, just to be involved with the kids' life, but they are also protection for us as well. Because when the police are no longer going to work, when the government is no longer assisting you, you need a male. You are only as strong as the men that you have to protect you as a woman when it comes
Right.
down to it. But we have so many things as women to give us incentives to think that we have this power when the government is giving us things and constantly giving us Section 8 and, putting us in, allowing us to go to shelters. We have, so much incentive to believe that we can do it on our own, but we're not. A lot of Black women are struggling to understand that because they are um, being fed this false sense of hope from the government. You know.
Mm-hmm. Wow, man, that's good, man. I want to ask you this right here: is that what is the biggest issue that most Black women face in relationship in this culture?
I think the biggest issue Black women face in relationships is definitely their bad behavior. And
Wow.
I'm not, I have bad behavior too. But once you know better, you do better, right? Getting away with bad behavior for so long, if
Right.
it
Right.
can come from parents, it can come from the school letting you get away with stuff. Society is a huge one because in society we have bad behavior all over media. You have the Housewives of Atlanta, you have the Love and Hip Hop, you have Cardi B, you have all these women, you have just showing you examples of bad behavior. Then you also have the men that you were in relationships with who allowed you to have that bad behavior. All it took was for one man to allow that bad behavior, and now you think there's nothing wrong with it. Matter of fact, you don't even know there's nothing wrong with it because everybody else lets you get away with that type of behavior. But once you start to date a different caliber of guy, or you meet a different caliber of guy, they're not going to tolerate your bad behavior.
Right.
They are going to point that out that, hey, this is crazy what you're doing. This is not acceptable. And
Right.
that's what they should do. But we have to have more conversations like this so that women can become more aware of their bad behavior. Because if nobody has never said anything to them about their bad behavior, they just don't know. They're just walking around doing whatever, um, behaving like the Black women that they see on media because they think it's okay, but it's not. So and it all kind of boils down to not being taught how to behave, not being taught how to, not having examples of what a healthy relationship looks like, or what does a wife do? What does a husband do? Even for the men, there's not a lot of good examples out there, positive examples out there for us as Black people. We had one good example on media. We had the Cosbys, but now, if you think about it, like what show on TV do we really have that shows Black women in a positive light? And I can think of some Black shows that people would probably think is positive, like, but if you don't know the bad behavior already, how would you would think that there's nothing wrong with what they're doing?
Right. Right. It's natural.
It's natural. So it's kind of hard for you to, see what's bad behavior. Like I thought Girlfriends was a great show growing up. I used to love watching it. But
Right.
then when I watched it as an adult, I was like, they're really not as successful and have it together as I thought they did.
Right.
They are a hot mess and they display bad behavior.
Right.
You know, with dating, how they date guys and the situations they put themselves in, and I was like, you know, I started to notice things that I didn't notice as a kid when I used to watch the show. You
Right.
know, so I think we just have to be very careful with what we watch, and because what we watch will, influence us if we're not careful.
Yeah, because uh, the average young lady now that's coming up in this culture, their careers out, they want to be a video girl, and twerking is fine. So now they teach their babies how to twerk, you know,
Right,
and then you put them on YouTube with this. It's cute, you know.
right.
We live in a society. What's right is wrong, and what's wrong is really right. And so we're being brainwashed and manipulated by by this new culture. So so does Black Lives Matter? Oh, well, ask black people. So that's what we need to do. If our Black Lives Matter, why don't we go back to our roots? Why don't we go back to the foundation, and let's restructure? Okay,
Mhm.
teach our young men that there is a system out there that'll trap you, and you cannot beat the system. It is
Mhm.
so. So we got to go back. We got to teach our ladies, the young ladies, what to look for when you're trying to, when you think you want a boyfriend. Who told you you need a boyfriend? You want an education. That was the reason when you was coming up. I used to always take you guys out on the beach, and I used to show you those $1 million homes. And what was the question you asked me? What was the experience you got from that?
I would always ask, how can I get that when I get older?
Hmm.
That was the question I wanted to know. Anytime I wanted something, or I asked you, how can I get that? You will always tell me education, education. And that's what I put, I put that at a very high, you know, that was my priority. That was at the top of my priority list because I knew I wanted those nice things. And so what it taught me was to, just as long as I get a good education, I would have the tools that I need in order to get those things that I wanted. And
Right,
that is very true. But I think there is a generation of women, modern women is what they call them, that were told the same thing. I found out that there's a generation of us that were just taught to go to school, go to school. It's all about your career. And so some of us were not taught some of the things, like how to be a wife, how to cook, how to clean. Just weren't taught those things because we were so focused on going to school and education, and we spent so much of our lives trying to get this career, go after this career, and not, date anybody, but just putting your career first, and missed a lot of opportunities. And I think it's important to tell the young generation um, how to look for healthy relationships, and also like how to balance things in your life so that you're not, you know, putting that career at the top and not, learning other things that could be beneficial for you later on in life. Because when I was younger, I didn't think it was important to know how to cook and stuff. But now, as I gotten older, it's like I'm learning these things now,
right.
because my goal is to be married and have that black family structure that is that example of you know what we're talking about for a healthy black family.
Right. You and I was talking the other day, and what you was telling me, I never realized this. And you were saying there was a big difference between my cooking and your mom cooking.
Yeah, yeah. She would just cook like regular food, like
Basic.
you know meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans. Not
Right.
you.
Fried
You
chicken.
cook, right, not you. You cook liver and onions, oxtails. I mean, to me as a kid, that was crazy stuff. But if I wanted to eat, I had to eat it.
Right.
so so I didn't want to learn how to do all that. That was just too much. That was like gourmet cooking to me.
Right. I get it. I get it. But that's your structure. That's how you view. And every young lady and every young man has a different structure in life. And if you did come up under a bad, if you come up under bad structure, there is a solution to it. And I remember when your mom and I, man, we got up under those deacon and deaconess. Lord Jesus, we didn't have no transportation, but they would come and pick us up, make sure we was at BET, BEU, BEO, all that stuff. Sunday school, church. I mean, Lord have mercy. Sunday was dedicated to the Baptist church back then, man. But we learned structure, we learned balance, from the spiritual perspective. It was good foundation in the beginning. And I really do believe that if we go back to the foundation that, like I said, you was brought up on a spiritual foundation, because when I discovered that, then I knew that's what I was gonna have to I was gonna have to build my home or build my family from that type of structure. And hey, we still here, even through this pandemic, we still here. So, but anyway, I have a question that somebody they want to be anonymous to this, and they emailed me this, so I had to write this down. So they don't want me to answer. They want you to answer. Okay, all right. They say, "Hi, Kayla. I've been single for too long, and it will be hard for me to fall deep in love with someone. Why? Because I have become so used to being single, independent, and self sufficient. It will take someone extraordinary to convince me to be the lover of their life." How would you answer that?
Wow. Well, I don't think it's anyone's responsibility to fix you. You know, I think that a lot of people do not invest in therapy as much as they should.
Mm-hmm.
And you really have to do the inner work. You have to do that within yourself before you get with someone, because you want to add value. You want to be an asset to a person. You don't want to come into a relationship taking things off of the table. You want to come into the relationship putting things on the table, and not just putting anything on the table. Because if somebody put certain food in front of us, we don't want to eat that. Everybody don't want to eat what you bring to the table. So you want
Right.
to make sure that you're bringing something of value. You want to bring something good. You want to bring something that smells good. And what smells good is a good personality. A loving heart is a person who's not damaged. A person wants to be around somebody. We want to be around people who feel good and who are happy. We don't want to be around. You don't want to be around anybody that is negative, and it's like they always have a cloud over them, and then you have to do all this work, peel all these layers off of them. You don't mind doing a little work, but you don't want to have to do what they should have done for themselves. You don't want to have to do what they should have done with that therapist. That's not fair to you, because you're coming to the table, you've done the work, and now you have to do all this work for them. No, it's your responsibility to deal with whatever you need to deal with, because men want to feel needed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are like so independent that they can't do anything for you because you got your own this and that, they feel like, well, what am I here for? There's no reason for me to be here because you
Right.
don't need me. They rather
Right.
go be with somebody else. They don't even care if she's less attractive or whatever. She don't even have her stuff together, but she's a damsel in distress, and they love that. They love it. They want to be her knight in shining armor, you know? So even if you know that you are that type of person, that type of woman that has been single for so long, you so independent, this man can't really do too much for you. Pretend, act like he is doing until he can get to that point. If he has
Right.
that potential, if he can get to that point, and then he will do more for you, because he feels like you made him feel like a man. You made him feel like he's needed.
Right, right, right. Yeah, and that's why a lot of successful women they feel that they intimidate men. Well, it's that you're not that you intimidate us. Intimidate a man is that um, you don't give that man you don't make the man feel like, hey, listen, I need you in my life. Although I may make more money than you, but there's something you have that I need that male model in my life. I need that type of king in my life. If listen, king, protect me on what I have. And if you well, it's just like with Wendy Williams and her husband at the time. She was making the money, but she placed him in charge.
Mm-hmm.
He was in charge. She fell deep in love with this man because he was in charge. He protected her as a king. Okay. Then the other stuff came in and it just destroyed it. So that I thought that was a great illustration of, even though you're successful, but still make this man feel like, you know what, you in charge.
Mm-hmm.
I hired you to not only watch over our money, but also watch over me as well. Protect me emotionally. So successful women, it's okay to be successful. It's okay to make more money than your man, but you gotta make sure you make him feel like he's Lord or King in the relationship. That's gonna be hard for some of y'all. I understand. That's why you're gonna be single for the rest of your life. I get that. Get that. Okay. So anyway, but I do want to say this, but when you come to a relationship, my advice to both parties, man and woman, if you got some issues and you got some baggages, please, I beg you, please go and get some counseling. Whether it's spiritual or you need to go see a psychiatrist, you need a mentor. Some of y'all need an uncommon mentor. Okay, you gotta get some help. You can't fix yourself. It's impossible. You can't fix yourself.
You
You
could
you
find a
can.
mentor. You could find a mentor. I found a lot of authors have been my mentors. I found mentors in the books I read. I have been reading a lot of books lately, and it can be very beneficial if you just pick up the right information.
Elder Catherine said, "Happy people, they're not negative people." That is so, that is so true.
Yes,
That
yes.
is so true, man.
People want to be
Happy
around
people are not
other
negative
happy
people.
people.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely, man. But I tell you, man, go get some help, man, before you bring baggages in relationships. It's important because if you don't, if you're dating somebody and it's complicated, well, what make you think it's gonna get better when you get married? You lost your mind. You think it's gonna get better when you get married. Who told you that lie? So stop it. So Kayla, we're getting ready to close out. Is there anything you want to say to your viewers out there, man?
Well, thank you for having me on the show. And thank you for all the viewers out there that stayed in attend and participated with your questions. We really appreciate you. If there is any topics, if you enjoyed this topic, or if you want us to talk about another topic, don't be shy. Feel free to let us know what topics you would like for us to discuss, or if you would like to discuss a topic, let us know.
Hey guys, we are family, and it takes a village to raise up a relationship. You better get in one. Hey, you're welcome to this is the Dan Vino podcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Hey, listen, I want you to go to YouTube. It's going to be on Dan Vino Division Empowerment. Just go there, man. If you like this show, if you like what's going on, if you get something out of this, all you need to do is hit the like button. And guess what now? I'm on 9 channels. I am now on Anchor.fm. I'm on Breaker.audio. I'm on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. I'm now on Overcast.fm, Pocket Cast, RadioPublic.com, and I'm also on Spotify. Man, you gotta hit a brother up, man. Listen, man, if you like the show, man, just show some love, and we'll tune in next time to the Dan Vino podcast. Great job, Kayla. You must have had some awesome parents.
I did.
God bless you all, man. Thank you for watching.